to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Allison. I'm 28 years old. I work full-time in healthcare, but I also do content creation on the side. As many of you know, if you watched my previous videos, I am in just about $20,000 of debt. So I thought I would do a video on exactly where I'm at in my debt payoff journey, what the totals are, and then also kind of go over what my expected timeline is to pay it all off, because I do budget out pretty far and I have a pretty good sense of when I'll have my credit card paid off and potentially my car paid off as well. Just a side note, I really enjoy posting about my personal finance journey and debt payoff journey because one, it helps me a lot, it helps keep me motivated, and two, I feel like it does resonate with a lot of people. I just want to share my journey with everyone. Not everyone's journey is gonna look the same, not everybody's gonna do the same things, make the same decisions with their money, and that's totally fine. My whole purpose on this channel is just to remind people that personal finances are personal and there's no one right way to go about doing something. Sometimes you have to make decisions that benefit you or your family or your situation that you're in, and that may not be exactly what somebody else would do. But that's totally okay. And as long as you have a goal and you see the end and you have a plan, then that's all that really matters. So let's get into the numbers and exactly where my debt is sitting at right now. My credit card debt is sitting at $5,000, and that is broken down into two cards. I have one card that has $400 balance, and I will be paying that off very, very soon. And then on my other card, I have $4,600. So total $5,000 credit card debt. The second balance, the higher balance, is on a balance transfer card, which if you don't know what that is, essentially it is a card where you transfer your balance onto this card with a 0% interest for whatever the bank decides. Like, I think mine was 18 months, there might be 12 months, or whatever it is. There's different stipulations on each card. Like, you'll have to look and see what your bank or that specific bank and card is offering, but I think that it is something good to look into if you do have a high balance that you're struggling to pay off and getting a lot of interest on the balance. The only downside is it is a new credit card, so you do have to get approved for it, which can be hard if your credit is low, but at the same time you have to weigh the pros and cons, because if you do open this card and you can transfer your balance to this card, you will have a 0% interest rate for however many months, and then you can try and pay it off with no interest. So definitely something to look at. Do you want to open a new credit card? Will you get approved for a new credit card? It is a hard inquiry. You might lower your credit again for a little bit, but then long term it might benefit you. It is just something to consider. Again, I'm not a financial expert. I'm not telling you to go do this and open a credit card, but it is an option and it's something that worked out for me pretty well. You just do a one-time transfer fee, which is pretty low comparatively to what I was even paying in interest, and then that's it. You don't pay any more interest until however long your contract is with this card. Definitely look into, do your research, figure out what would work for you, if it's worth it. That is where we're at with credit cards. And then my car loan is sitting at $15,154. And that one is hard. That's where I'm at, like, specifically right now. That one does accrue interest daily because it's a car loan. So pretty much every day when I log in, it can say a different number because you're accruing interest on the loan total every day. So I try just to keep it at whatever number it is when I paid it, and then I pay every 2 weeks to help limit some of that interest. That is where we're sitting at with the car loan. That means my total debt is at $20,154, which is a crazy number to hear, but we are just over 20,000. We'll be under 20,000 very, very soon. Next, I'll go through my timeline with you guys. So we'll start with the credit cards because that is what I'm focusing on pretty much solely right now, is getting that paid off as quickly as I can. So for the rest of October, based on like what I think I'm gonna be getting paid from social media, from my next paycheck, and I'm also getting a bonus check for my next paycheck because through my workplace I had a sign-on bonus, which was amazing, but this is my last one. But I will be getting a bonus, so I went through, budgeted everything, and kind of came up with a number that I could put towards my debt. From my calculations, I believe that I will be able to put another $2,000 towards my debt for the rest of October. And then November is a 3 paycheck month for me because I get paid every other Friday. So again, in November, based on my paychecks and having that extra paycheck, I will also be able to put $2,000 towards my credit card debt. And then basically that just leaves me with $1,000 left, which I will pay in December. And that is basically the rough estimate of when I'll have those paid off, which is amazing. It feels far away, but it seems super close. Like 3 months is not that far. The number right now seems so large and scary, but I know that it's very close. That's what's also kind of keeping me motivated. Like December is so close, and if I can just keep on trucking along, I will be there before I know it. And then that also, I mean, that doesn't include anything extra that I might be able to put towards it. This is just definitely what I feel like I can put towards it. I feel like no matter what, it will be December, which is super exciting. And then as far as my car loan, I'm gonna share my screen with you guys to show you the debt snowball calculator that I use. It is a part of the ultimate budget tracker that I use and mention in a lot of my videos. So I'll link it down below. This template is the ultimate budgeting template by Coplenty, and I do have a code with them. So if you want to purchase this, it is honestly awesome. And especially if you have a big loan, like a car loan with an interest rate, this debt snowball calculator is super helpful. So it is just a tab on my other monthly budgeting. So this is like what I would normally show you guys in October. But then there is a savings tracker and a debt tracker. So I do have my credit cards inputted in here, but it just was easier to talk that out with you guys because I'm not paying interest on these. So with the credit cards, it's easier because there is no interest. So the numbers are pretty standard, if that makes sense. But if we take a look here at the car loan, so when I started tracking it, it was July of 2024, and I was at $16,146. Also, this isn't where I started. I've had my car for about a year now, so I got it last October. So my original car loan was about $18,500. Started tracking. I started using this in July. We can see here in October I have that I want to put $550 towards my car. It might actually be lower this month. I wanted to put more towards it, but then I was like, oh, I should just put the extra towards my credit card to pay that off faster and then focus on the car. So that could just be my standard $400 payment. Basically every month I at least put $400 towards my car because my payment is $332, and I just round up to $400 and split it between the 2 paychecks, $200 and $200. That way I'm making a payment every 2 weeks. It helps with the interest, and I'm paying extra to my car. If we look at November, I want to put $700 towards the car because again, I get 3 paychecks. So I could honestly make that $800 even, because if I do $200 each paycheck, that could be $800. But again, I try to underestimate typically because I don't want to overestimate and then be completely off. Like I'd rather underestimate and then be like more pleasantly surprised when I actually can put more towards it. And then December I have $950 because obviously by that point I'm paying off a lot of my credit card debt, and I'll have a little bit extra to put towards the car. So that's about as far as I went with specific numbers, because in January I feel like one of 2 things is gonna happen in my life, and one of those options is that I'm gonna keep my current job, but I'm gonna work less hours. I can't keep working the way that I'm working right now. It's actually affecting me like mentally so much. So, or as I've mentioned in a few of my videos, I have been taking a medical coding course, and I'm hopefully taking the test at the end of November, and then I would be applying for jobs in December and maybe have a new job starting in January. So basically no matter what, in January I think that my income will change, because if I take a medical coding job I will probably make less money. If I work less hours, I'll be making less money. It seems close, but it is so far away, and you know what, maybe neither one of those things can happen. I don't know yet. I can't predict the future. That's what I'm assuming is gonna happen because I just feel like I can't keep living the way that I'm living. Either way, I know that something is going to change, I think, with my income. So I didn't want to fully budget off of like what I'm making now and then, you know, say that I can make like a $950 payment every single month when it may not happen. So I put $650 for the remaining months. I'm putting, again, extra, but not something that I think I couldn't do, because again, I at least always make $400 payment. This would just be an extra $250 a month, which I think is very possible and doable for me. I think that no matter what, I could make an extra $250 somehow during the month to put towards this. So again, I didn't want to overestimate and be completely off and think that I'm going to pay off my car next year when that may not be the case. I want it to be realistic, and then I can update this every month and make a higher payment and then see where I'm at and adjust like as needed. Other thing is we also want to buy a house next year within the first, 6 to 8 months of the year, hoping to start the process within the first 3 to 6 months of the year, and then hopefully be in a house at some point, like 6 to 8 months. So we will see, but I also wanted to lower this number so that I could increase my savings as well, so that we're preparing for buying a house. We have a decent down payment right now, but obviously the more money, the better. And after we even make that payment, our monthly expenses are gonna change completely. Like our mortgage payment will be higher, a lot of our bills and expenses might be a little higher. So I wanted to come up with a number that I think is doable even with all of these potential changes that are going to be happening in the next year. If I can maintain having like no credit card payment, I think that this would be, again, very doable. I just thought of this as well. So back to if I were to get a remote job, I would be lowering some of my other monthly expenses such as gas, and I could potentially lower my car insurance and just overall yearly expenses with my car, like oil changes, maintenance, whatever. So that would also play a part. So yes, my income would be lower doing the medical coding job and being remote, but also my expenses would be a lot lower. So there's so many different things that could happen in the next year that would cause changes to this plan. So that's why it's hard to have a plan and stick to it, because you never really know what could happen. I could also start making more money from social media, which is like hopefully the plan, but like truly, honestly, you never know. This is obviously the ideal, hopeful, like realistic plan that I want to follow. Will it happen just like this? I don't know. If we follow this plan, I will have my car paid off by November 2026, which is basically 2 years from now. I'm not upset about that. It seems like really far away, but car loans are typically longer loans, like it is a big purchase. It is a lot of money, and again, with the interest, you're signing up to make this payment and have a payment for however many years. Even with this, like I said, I have had my car for a year now, so then if I paid off in 2 years from now, I would have paid my car off in 3 years. It's pretty good. I think when I signed up, my actual loan is like 6 years, so I would cut it in half and would have my car paid off in 3. So I'm very happy with that. That's sort of why I chose the 6-year loan. I know a lot of people don't do that. I wanted my payment to be lower. I didn't know what my expenses were going to look like, and I'd rather have the lower payment and make extra payments to it than set myself up with a higher payment and feel stressed and maybe not be able to pay, like feel like I can't pay it every month, or like I'm struggling to pay it every month. And I also want to say I'm not someone who's against having car loans. I know some people are like strongly against it. I think that a car loan's totally fine. It's like a mortgage. Like, you need a car. Sometimes like people are always like, oh, you need to save up for one and buy it all in cash. If you can't afford it, you can't buy it, whatever. I don't really think that that's true. I think there's a smart way to do it. And as long as you're not getting yourself in a situation where you have a crazy car payment and can't pay it. I'm a Honda girl. I've always been a Honda girly. It's a reliable car. They're relatively cheap. Obviously, I put money down on my car, so the loan amount I took was only $18,500, which is a lot, but it's also, in comparison to a lot of cars these days, that was a relatively low amount. And again, I set myself up with a decently low monthly car payment. I'm not like these other finance people who think having a car loan is like the worst thing ever. I don't. I want to pay it off faster just to save myself money in the long run, and then also free up all of this money to not be paying towards my car, because then after 2 years I wouldn't have a car payment and I'd have that $650 back to do whatever with. I tend to go on these little rants. If you've ever watched my videos, you know that I yap a lot about certain topics because I feel passionate about it. So that is the current update and the current plan as of right now. I will definitely try to do some updates as we go along. Maybe in January I'll do an update so that we can see where I'm at, maybe see potentially if I have a new job, if I know what my monthly income is going to be, if I know anything different, if I need to make changes to this. Again, as of right now, plan is to have my credit cards paid off in December, and then my car loan would be paid off by November 2026, which is very exciting. It's nice to see it this way too, because you can keep track here of like, so for example, like this month I gain $102 in interest, but it keeps this updated, and then if I were to change a number here, say I could make an extra payment, an extra $50 payment in this month, it will adjust all of the numbers except for the bottom one, because I adjust these, but then I would only need to make a payment of like $175. As the months goes on and I see what I can make the payments, I can adjust this as needed. But very nice tool to have, especially when you have a large loan like this, to see the whole picture and like when it will be paid off. That is my plan to pay off my $20,000 of debt. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys very, very soon in the next video.